Ukrainian drones strike Russian oil depot. Then this happened. At 3 a.m. local time, June 6, 2025, the skies above Russia's Engels Air Base were silent, too silent. Then out of the darkness came 17 Ukrainian OSA drones. They weren't high-tech marvels from billion-dollar defense programs. They were machines cobbled together from cheap parts, guided by ruthless ingenuity, and powered by a new kind of battlefield intelligence. What happened next wasn't just a drone strike. It was the moment when low-cost swarms humiliated one of the world's most expensive air defense systems and crippled Russia's nuclear bomber fleet. The approach. For 6 hours, the drones had flown undetected, covering 750 kilometers of hostile airspace. No GPS, no constant human control, no chatter between them. For the last 30 minutes of the flight, the operators in Kiev could do nothing but watch. The swarm had already switched to fully autonomous mode. Each drone carried a thermal camera feeding raw data into an onboard AI system. This wasn't crude pattern recognition. This AI had been trained on thousands of satellite images of the Engels fuel depot. It didn't just spot fuel tanks, it understood their layouts, pipeline connections, and vulnerabilities. 4 massive cylinders glowed hot on the display. One in particular, Tank 4, was slightly warmer than the rest. That tiny 3.6 degrees Celsius difference told the AI everything. It had just been filled, which meant higher vapor pressure, which meant maximum volatility, which meant the perfect target. The remarkable part? Every single drone ran this exact analysis independently. No centralized brain, no voting system, just 17 identical processors, each reaching the same deadly conclusion, and each plotting its own attack vector with mathematical precision, invisible to the giants. At 3:01, Russia's vaunted S-400 air defense system swept its radar beams across the base. On paper, this system can see stealth fighters hundreds of kilometers away, but the drones were too low, flying just above treetop height. Radar waves struggled to distinguish them from ground clutter. By the time the system might catch a blip, the drones would be within minutes of impact. 4 Pantsir-S1 units ringed the depot like guard dogs, but those guard dogs were blind to gnats. The drone's radar cross-sections were smaller than a bird's. Thermal imagers could catch glimpses of them, but the engagement systems weren't built to lock onto targets so tiny and so erratic. And the Russians' favorite trick, GPS jamming, was useless. These drones navigated like World War II bombers, compass, accelerometers, dead reckoning. No GPS meant nothing to jam. It was like trying to hack a knife. The swarm evolves. As the drones closed within 15 kilometers, their formation began to shift. What started as a loose gaggle transformed into an attack matrix. Imagine a flock of birds snapping into a perfect strike formation. This wasn't for efficiency, it was for destruction. 7 drones climbed to strike the thin roofs of the tanks. 5 leveled off at mid-height to hammer the vapor-filled upper walls. Another 5 dropped lower, aiming for the weld seams near the tank bases. Together, they formed a 3-dimensional kill pattern designed to overwhelm any defense. At 3:03, a Russian operator finally saw something strange on his screen. Too fast for birds, too slow for missiles, and far too low for fighter jets. 17 signatures. His blood went cold. He slammed the engage button. The first Pantsir missile roared into the night sky, streaking toward the lead drone. At Mach 2.8, it should have obliterated the target. Instead, the tiny plastic-bodied OSA drone simply slipped past. The missile's proximity fuse didn't even recognize it as valid prey. Millions of rubles gone in a streak of fire. The operator fired again and again. Missiles veered, lost track, or detonated harmlessly. The autocannons opened up, spraying tracer fire, but hitting a quadcopter at 2 kilometers was like trying to hit a fly with a machine gun. By 3:06, the defenders had fired dozens of shots. Only 1 drone had been downed. 16 remained. Impact. At 3:08, the first drone slammed into Tank 4. Its shape-charged warhead punched through the steel roof like it was paper, detonating inside the vapor space. In an instant, 2,000 tons of aviation fuel became a weapon. The tank's steel roof blew skyward like a giant discus, crashing down hundreds of meters away. A torrent of burning fuel gushed out, igniting everything it touched. 10 seconds later, the next drone hit Tank 1, then Tank 7, then Tank 12. Each impact wasn't random. It was synchronized to trigger cascading failure. The depot's firefighting system activated, dumping foam at industrial scale. But it was like spitting on a volcano. Pipes burst, valves failed, and the inferno spread. By 3:18 a.m., Tank 6 experienced a bleave, boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion. The blast ripped through the depot with terrifying force. Fireballs soared into the night sky, visible for kilometers. The ground shook as if struck by an earthquake. Entire neighborhoods in Engels were bathed in a hellish orange glow. The consequence: the explosions that night were not just flames consuming ordinary fuel. These were vast reservoirs of specialized aviation fuel, refined specifically for Russia's Tu-95 Bear and Tu-160 Blackjack strategic bombers. These aircraft formed the core of Moscow's nuclear strike capability, capable of carrying long-range cruise missiles and even nuclear payloads. Unlike standard kerosene, this highly specialized blend cannot simply be topped up from civilian sources. Its production requires unique facilities, controlled supply chains, and months of preparation. With a single strike, Ukraine had destroyed not just liquid fuel, but a critical piece of Russia's nuclear readiness. The immediate consequence was devastating for the Russian Air Force. Dozens of bombers, worth billions of dollars collectively, were effectively grounded overnight. Without their specialized fuel, these machines of war became nothing more than parked relics on runways, symbols of power that could no longer launch. This created a sudden and unexpected vulnerability in Russia's deterrence posture. What was once considered untouchable, the long-range nuclear bomber fleet, was now paralyzed by low-cost drones that slipped through layers of expensive defenses. For Ukraine, the strike was not just a tactical victory, but a strategic masterstroke, proving that even the most powerful adversary had soft spots. But perhaps the greater consequence was psychological. The raid sent a chilling message. If plastic-bodied drones, costing no more than a family car, could fly 750 kilometers into Russian territory and obliterate one of its most secure fuel depots, then what was truly safe? Moscow itself lay just 100 kilometers further. The symbolism was unmistakable. Ukraine had shown that the heart of Russia's nuclear command infrastructure was within reach. For the Kremlin, it was more than an attack on fuel. It was an attack on the illusion of safety, forcing Russia to confront a terrifying truth. The old rules of warfare had changed. The June 6 strike on Engels wasn't just another attack. It was a demonstration that in modern warfare, cost doesn't equal effectiveness. That swarms of cheap, smart, expendable machines can shred billion-dollar defenses. And that resilience, ingenuity, and sheer audacity can change the balance of power. Do you think swarms like these mark the end of traditional air defense dominance? Could this strike be the blueprint for future warfare? Share your thoughts below. And if you found this breakdown eye-opening, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into modern conflicts and the future of warfare.